Cool. Ready? Let's do it. OK. Hey, y'all. My name's Grant Timmerman. I'm a developer platform engineer on Google Cloud based in San Francisco. I specifically work on G Suite. And today, I'd like to show you all about AppScript. So first, who am I? Again, I'm a developer platform engineer working on G Suite APIs. So that's everything from calendar, tasks, slides, sheets, contacts, Drive, Gmail, the admin SDK. Let's talk about AppScript. But first, I would like to take a selfie. So if we could all get together, get close, I think this would be awesome. This means selfie in Chinese, 自拍. OK, 3, 2, 1, smile. Woo. Sweet. OK, G Suite. So it's a part of Google Cloud. And it includes everything from your Gmail, your Google Drive, calendar, as well as the editors, Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, and Forms. And there's also some administrative tools with the admin SDK and Google Classroom if you're an EDU. Today, I'd like to talk about, first, what is AppScript? How can you use this language to empower your G Suite? Second, Google Sheets custom functions. This is a really powerful way to extend Google Sheets to fit your needs. It's just all JavaScript and Google Sheets. There is Google Slide Add-Ons. Allows you to extend the native functionality of Google Slides. Gmail add-ons, which came out last fall, they allow you to extend Gmail both on desktop and web, desktop and mobile, as well as the AppScript CLI Clasp. So this is an open source tool that allows you to manage your scripts. Then almost second to last, open source is something that I'm really passionate about. You can see on github.com/grant. I love contributing and sharing my code via open source. And then lastly, Q&A. I really want to open it up to you. What are your problems? What are the things that you think you could leverage G Suite, AppScript with Google Cloud? Let's talk. So first, let's get a show of hands. Who has used AppScript before? Okay. One? OK. Attempted? Do you know how to get to use it? Or you know how to get to it? Yeah. OK, well, no worries. OK, well, by the end of today, hopefully you all know at least how to try it and some of the powerful things that you can do with it. So first, what is AppScript? And really, what can it do? Like, why should you care? Well, so AppScript, fundamentally, it's a serverless JavaScript runtime for G Suite automation, extension, and integration. So there's a couple key things in that sentence. One is that it's serverless. That means you don't need to provision any servers. You don't need to remember where your source control is. You don't need to remember who has access to the files. It's all hosted in Google Cloud. It's actually hosted in Google Drive, which you can share with the same permissions like you do with other Drive files. Second, it's just JavaScript. It's not a whole other new language. If you know JavaScript, then you know how the basics of using AppScript. So in this example, we're creating a function that will listen to our Google Slides, and we'll create a couple add-on menus. Show progress bars, which will invoke the create bars function, and hide progress bars, which will invoke the delete bars function. This is actually a precursor to a demo I'll show. And then third, it's integrated with Google. So if you use any of these Google services, you can access the Google services programmatically with AppScript. So if you're doing anything from BigQuery analysis to creating calendar events to just sending an email, you can do that. It's usually just 1 or 2 lines with AppScript. some of the key advantages, why not just use JavaScript or Node or Python? One is the deep integration with Google. So AppScript allows you to extend the existing functionality of Google Sheets, Gmail, Google Slides, etc. I like to show some examples. Like sending an email is one line of code. Adding a row to a spreadsheet, one line of code. Creating a Google Doc, one line. You can sort of get the picture. Second is that there's no OAuth needed. No OAuth code needed, that is. So AppScript natively integrates with Google APIs, meaning you don't need to write any of the OAuth code yourself. For me personally, I think one of the hardest difficulties with integrating with a new API is understanding how to authenticate with the system. And it's really a barrier to newcomers. So the scripts that you write, they automatically prompt you for your permissions if you haven't given them. And it'll also detect if you've given permissions before, you don't need to log in again. Then third is that it's serverless. So again, you don't need to spin up any machines. AppScript will run it'll run just for yourself, or if you have a whole G Suite business, or you want to expand your scripts to the world, AppScript can scale for you. And there's also no SDK or really tools needed that you need to download. And did I mention AppScript is free? So you can get started today, and you don't need to pay anything to get started. So a couple things is AppScript powers add-ons. These are sidebars and different extensions to G Suite that can also be integrated with other services like Maps, Translate, and Drive. So not just your G Suite, but all these other services too. Like if you want to send driving directions or use Google Translate or query the YouTube API. There's no OAuth code needed. And then it's serverless. So you don't need to worry about provisioning servers or scaling your add-ons. So of course, disclaimer, when I say serverless, there are some servers, you just don't need to manage them. So, and some of the disadvantages. So why might you want to use Node or Python or something? Well, so it's not Node, so you can't. There's some limitations in the flexibility being a serverless platform. You're not able to use, for example, the file system of Node, like Node can. And you cannot use existing Node APIs. And then it's a different flavor of JavaScript. So you'll see some examples where it's using a Google API, and it's maybe some JavaScript concept you haven't seen before. It takes a while to fully understand what AppScript can do. There's really hundreds of services, and they all do different things. And then lastly, user-driven API calls. So usually when you're running AppScript, you're not running a cron job or you're not running a server. It's some G Suite user that is editing a spreadsheet or maybe opening an email. And then you can do an action on their behalf while you're in that context. So I think I've been through that. So like, for example, here's a Google Docs extension that just searches and replaces some code programmatically. So let's say you have a Google Doc, and you want to create 100 invoices, but you don't want to create them all manually. Maybe you want to programmatically just have this JavaScript object with the name, address, city, state, and zip, and then replace the text on an existing file. Well, so rather than doing that manually, you can do that programmatically. And you can say, get the document app.get active document, get the body, then whatever data you can store it in just a normal JavaScript object. And then third, you can just body.replace text and take in the parameter, which is what to search for, and replace it with the client name, client address, et cetera. And then it's user-driven. So you'll see these events like on open whenever you open a spreadsheet, or whenever you edit a certain cell, or whenever you install an add-on, or do posts and do get. Those are for web applications, and not by another machine. So really, that's all great and dandy. But what does that mean for you? Like, let's say maybe you don't want to use AppScript, or like, let's say you have a day job and you can't learn this new technology. Well, so I want to show you some examples of how you can use AppScript to really just enhance your life with G Suite with a couple lines of code. Okay, so first, it's important to understand how you can use AppScript. There's 3 ways. One is you can build add-ons. These are like Chrome extensions that allows you to extend G Suite. So in Google Sheets or Google Docs, you can create a little sidebar and create whatever web application you want in that. And you can also publish them to a marketplace that we have. You can create standalone web applications. They can be internal for your business, or they can be public to the world. And then you can also just build automations. These can be background workers. They can run on time triggers. For example, every hour, check the Google stock and send me an email. What's the price? Something like that. So add-ons really just allow you to build more functionality in G Suite products that currently don't exist. For example, if Gmail's missing a feature, well, why not build it yourself using some AppScript, right? Really, your imagination is the limit. And so there's these different types of add-ons you can build. You can build add-ons for docs, sheets. You can build add-ons and custom functions, forms, add-ons, slides, Gmail, and more in the future. So to get to AppScript, you go to script.google.com. Sort of like docs.google.com or forms.google.com, slides.google.com. With script.google.com, you can write, run, and debug code with breakpoints using the Cloud IDE. So for the next session, I want to show a couple demos of how you can use AppScript. So let's say you have a document like this. To get to the AppScript editor, let me zoom in. You go, no matter if you're in Sheets or Slides, you go to Tools, then Script Editor. This is your magic key to AppScript. Here, you can see you're in an online IDE. Here we have 2 files, code.js and sidebar.html. Let me show you the AppScript running in person. So let me refresh that. So here we have a document translate custom button, and we can press start. Here it'll pop an HTML little sidebar, and we can simply select our text, and this one will translate into another language. So anyone know these languages? French, German, Japanese, Spanish? French? Let's see if it works. So you can simply translate the text and insert it back into the document. And so what it did there is that it detected the highlighted area. I brought it in to the little sidebar, and then I translated it using Google Translate, and then inserted it back to the document. So how does that actually work? So actually, let's go back to the script editor. And you can see a couple things. So first is we have this function called onOpen. This is a special event. Can everyone see that, by the way? Maybe zoom in a bit. So this is a special event that triggers every time we open a document. Here, we're going to just state document app, which is basically the accessors to our document, get the current UI, and create a new add-on menu, and add a new menu item called Start, which will show the sidebar, and add that to the UI. So that was this functionality here. We added this little button. This states right here will open the add-on if we install it. Show sidebar. Here we declare a variable, UI, and then we'll render an HTML output from this file called sidebar. It's right here. We'll set the title to translate, then we'll show the sidebar in the UI. Then here, we'll get the selected text with document app.getActive document, get selection. Then we have a couple different cases, depending on what type of element. We'll get, if it's a partial selection, we'll translate that selection partially. Otherwise, we'll get the full element as text and add it to our array. So this gets the selection text. We also have some preferences stored here. And this is also some preferences, inserting text. But the real meat of it is right here, translate text. So here, using Google Translate, you can just specify, I would like to translate some text from, with this text from an origin language to a destination language. And it uses Google Translate in the background. Yeah?
Well, that language app, that service, do you need to import or doing something, or is it available globally?
It's available globally. So there's a bunch of services. For example, so all the app, if it has a star app, it's available globally.
Is this keyword working with the function? This keyword?
This?
Yeah. This means global, then you can intelligence what kind of service you have.
So there's all these different types of services. For example, I'll show it a little bit later, but you can like send email, for example, with Gmail app. You can create spreadsheets with Spreadsheet app.
Like if I want to post to the Slack channel, can I create a different service that posts this document, like updated to the Slack channel, tell people that those documents I managed to change?
I'm not sure the exact question. But you can.
I don't want to use the existing service, but I want to send to the Slack channel.
OK, yeah, you can integrate with third-party services besides Google services. And I'll talk about that a little bit later.
There's one question.
Yep.
Can I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
You were mentioning all this stuff, like I can see it's happening very fast, right? And you called it serverless, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do in the back end? Are you spawning a container, and then in that container, you have running your service, and
Yeah.
then, but it was instantaneous. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, for the background, so yeah, AppScript will create a background worker, background service for you, which has permission to the, which has access to the permissions you've granted it. For example, if you say, hey, you can send emails on behalf of me whenever you, but you can't create new spreadsheets or something like that, then like you'll first go through the OAuth prompt. If you're trying to access creating a new spreadsheet, you'll get that OAuth prompt.
Let's say in this particular case for translation,
Yeah.
It actually calls Google Translate service, right?
Yeah.
And what happens, if it doesn't, if it fails, or
Uh,
whatever, right? How is that?
So-
how is that pipeline going? Like, I cannot.
Okay.
Straightforward, or?
So, I mean, I think we should maybe talk about that question later. You can have error handling for errors with APIs.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So after you do all that work, you created that script, right?
Yeah.
Can you share it with your coworkers?
So you can share like a Google Drive file.
Can you show me how you do it?
Yeah. So actually, so well, first of all, you can either share a file that has a script attached, and it'll also share the script. So let's say, but you don't want to share the actual document. You can go to your script editor, and then you can actually. It's a good question. So for add-ons like this, you need to share the document that it's attached to. So they sort of come together. And then so you go just with the share button there.
You write a script so you can use it inside like a spreadsheet, right?
Yeah.
Some sort of function.
Then, so if you want to publish it, so let's say you want to share it with all of your spreadsheets, or if you're an admin, you want to share it with the whole domain, you can publish it as an add-on with the publish button. I think I should move on to so you can go publish and publish as a web app if you're creating web applications or an add-on. I'll take the further questions at the end. Cool. So here's a Wolfram Alpha app. How much time do I have, by the way? Here's a Wolfram Alpha app that allows you to use Wolfram Alpha's API and embed anything from plots to just function outputs directly within your Google Docs. And so you can install it, for example, if you're maybe a university, you might want to, well, I don't know if you'd install the Wolfram Alpha app, but you could install it for your whole domain. Here's one I just showed. You can install a Google Translate app add-on that'll translate your documents from one language to another. I just showed that. Second way you can use AppScript is by adding custom functions and add-ons to Google Sheets. This, in my opinion, is probably one of the most powerful ways to use AppScript. You can really customize your Google Sheets experience. So first, I have a question for y'all. Who here owns any Bitcoin? OK, one person? Come on, it's the currency of the future.
He's from San Francisco, too.
Yeah? I'm just kidding about the currency of the future. But no offense. But that's just my opinion. But let's say we wanted to create a custom function in Google Sheets called BTC. Well, so Google Sheets natively doesn't have this function. It has a bunch of different functions, right? You can see here. I actually defined a custom function called BTC. Let's see. So here, I can just type BTC. You'll see it gets the Bitcoin price at a date. And I can just use Google Sheets and autocomplete. It'll actually query the Coinbase API and get the price of Bitcoin in 2010. Right? It was a nickel. I can just double-click the bottom right to get the price for all of the dates up to most recently. And so you can see Bitcoin went from a nickel to $13, $8, $90, $610, $283, $660, $2,700 to $8,000. So that's cool. How did I do that? Well, so tools and script editor. That's your magic way to accessing AppScript. You can see here, I just declared a simple function. Let me zoom in a bit more. Cool. So here, we just describe a Java doc parameter or Java doc comment. Get the Bitcoin price at a certain date. This you actually saw in the Google Sheets UI. And it also provides some information about the parameter and the return type. The special way we make this custom functions that you can see in Sheets is by declaring this custom function parameter. Otherwise, normal functions will not show up. Here we declare a normal JavaScript function, BTC, it accepts a date. If we don't provide the date, we'll get today's date and just format it in this format. Then we'll go do something called URL fetch app.fetch. This is like a HTTP fetch in the web. And we'll query api.coinbase.com and get the price of Bitcoin in US dollars at a certain date. And we'll just provide it some headers. Here we'll provide it a bearer token. Don't copy that. And then we'll just say, hey, once we have the result, just parse the text as JSON, and then return the amount. And so that, in total, allows you to return the amount of the price of Bitcoin at a certain date. Any questions on that? Yeah? So you can also, like, if you don't provide a parameter, that's today's price. So was there a question or no? Yeah?
I'm working on that fetch API.
Yeah.
Do it asynchronous or synchronous?
Synchronous? Yeah, so it.
Waiting the response comes back, or you can give the control to the app, then you do other things.
Yeah.
Just wondering, because from your code, it looks like run synchronous. But JavaScript, when you run synchronous, it will be kind of the function is not complete. How they go back to continue that pass line?
OK, yeah, good question. So AppScript, the JavaScript will run synchronously. But if you're saying, let's say you have a Google Sheet and you have 1,000 rows, if you double click, it'll spawn different jobs for each of those function calls. And so it'll really be sort of async, or you won't have to wait for every single one to finish in order. So let's do some other things with Google Sheets. So here I created a function called BTC email. And it gets the current Bitcoin price, and it sends me an email with the current Bitcoin price. So I can either just select the function and run it here, which would be one way to run it. But I want to run it within my Google spreadsheet. Well, so you can create buttons in Google Spreadsheets by doing the following. Insert a drawing. And I'll just create a new drawing. And so once you have this, see this triple dot? You can assign a script. So let me recall. Here's the script I want to run. And I can just press that script, and it'll run the function. OK, I'm going to go to my email and see if it worked. Probably shouldn't do this, but hopefully, no. that's not it. And oh shoot, that's okay. We'll have to definitely edit that out. Here's the actual email. There's a different email address. So here it just sent me an email. So you can create these custom functions. You don't need to be a programmer, but maybe you share this spreadsheet with your coworker who can click buttons, of course, and they could trigger these scripts automatically.
So is that script bound only to that spreadsheet?
Yeah, so it's bound just to that spreadsheet.
Oh, so you can't use it in another spreadsheet. You've got to rewrite the code.
Yeah, you can either copy and paste the code. There's also a command line tool that'll automatically do it, or you can publish it as an add-on. And so you basically publish it so anybody can install it.
Anybody where?
So you could either, so with the G Suite Marketplace, you can publish it for your organization, your G Suite organization, or the whole world.
Okay, no. How do you do the error handling? Just like when you send an email.
Yeah, so it fails, so you can do a try-catch around the email.
When you can you do some console log and then you find?
Exactly. Yeah, so I'm not showing that in that demo, but you'd probably want to do a try-catch around that. Yeah.
What is the security model? Do I have access to the entire DOM? Or is this sheets or the Gmail app is running?
Yeah, so the DOM is, the sidebars are in a sandbox container. So you can't just run just random JavaScript. And yeah, AppScript is run in general in a sandbox.
I'm thinking if someone else has written a script and I'm using it, how do I know it won't take my security tokens and start messing with mine?
Yeah, so AppScript handles all the OAuth for you. The script developer doesn't have access to, for example, the access token of your Gmail API OAuth client. And so you don't need to worry about that access token being compromised in a malicious script.
I have a little bit confused about you said that is serverless.
Yep.
Because as I understand, all this script is run inside the browser. It's run on the client side, not the server side. Only those services is run on the server side.
So all of the app script is run on the server, but the sidebar, it has HTML, which you can include JavaScript, which is rendered on the client. But like, for example, the Bitcoin, that was all running on the server.
You mean get but then all those format number, those should be on the client side. What? If it's run
Yeah.
on the server side,
I think-
it is still up on the.
Yeah, I think let's talk about this after the talk. Good question, though. Cool, I showed you buttons. You could also create macros. I know someone in the audience had this question. So with tools and macros, you can record a macro. For example, maybe you want to format this spreadsheet. You can save it and bind it to a hotkey. And again, to do that, I went to Tools and Macro. And here you can see all your different macros. I created format right there. So if I have this spreadsheet, I can simply press the hotkey. Shoot. And I don't think that demo is going to work. OK. Well, I think I'm on a different account, which this won't work.
Some
But-
authorization is required.
Yeah, so you can't have scripts running on in the background without you giving consent first. So once you give consent once, then it'll be saved so you can run these macros whenever you want. Last fall, I built a demo for Dreamforce, Salesforce's conference in San Francisco, that allows you to pull your CRM data into Google Sheets and then present the data in Google Slides. Here's what it looked like. So you can I created a custom button right there, a custom sidebar. And I'm logging in with the Salesforce. You saw the Salesforce auth. And here, I press the import button to import the opportunities table from our Salesforce CRM. I format it a little bit. And once you're in Google Sheets, that's a really flexible UI. You can create things from charts. This is expected revenue from these different customers. You can change the access like I do here. And then you can simply Command-C and Command-V to paste a linked spreadsheet chart into your Google Slides. So for example, if you have a quarterly report and you want to show your sales numbers, but you don't want to create a new chart every time, you can really save time if you just upload your data to Google Sheets. Maybe use this sidebar, this add-on I created, and you can create reports in seconds rather than days. Cool. Google Slides add-ons. So these two characters, this is "fani" in Chinese. It means translate. I want to show how, let's say you have a slide deck presentation and you have customers from 10 different countries, 10 different languages, and you want to automatically translate your slide decks. Well, with AppScript, you can do just that with the Google Translate service and the Slides add-on service. So let me see if I have a demo for that. Actually, I showed the Translate add-on before, so I'll show a different add-on. But this is what it looks like. This is actually a tutorial from GitHub, where we create a sidebar here. You can select what language you'd like to translate into. And you can just select the text here. And Google Translate will automatically detect the current language of the text, and it'll translate it into your destination language. Progress bar add-ons. So I created a sample. You know, YouTube has these progress bar indicators stating how far you are in the video, right? Well, I want to add that to Google Slides to see how far along in the presentation someone is. So again, go to Tools and then Script Editor. And you can see, let me show the demo first. Shoot. Okay. Let's see, dismiss. I'm going to make sure this is working. I'm going to give permission to this add-on. And OK, this add-on does not seem to be working with me today. Let's maybe revisit that demo later. But what this add-on does is it creates these little these little progress bars at the bottom of your slide deck. These little rectangles to see how far along in your presentation you are. Not sure why it's not working right now, but I find it pretty useful. And it's really not a whole lot of code. Here, we create a function called create bars. First, we delete any bars if we have any existing bars. Then we just do a simple for loop through all the slides. Let's get the ratio of completion, which is I over the number of slides, an X and a Y. The Y is just the bottom of the page. And the bar width is just the presentation width times the ratio. The ratio is just 0 to 1. And then if the bar width is not 0, basically, then we're going to insert a shape, which is a rectangle at the X, Y, bar width, and bar height. And then the last two, we'll get a border. We'll just set it to transparent. We don't want the border. And this set link URL basically creates an identifier for the rectangle, so we can delete it later. And delete bars is pretty similar. I won't go through this because it's pretty self-explanatory. This is also on GitHub. If you're interested in video content, my colleague Wes and I, we have some videos on Google Developers of actually teaching you how to make this progress bar add-on. And it's a really great way. I think it's like 5 minutes way to learn AppScript interactively. Gmail add-ons. So Gmail add-ons came out last fall. They allow you to write once, run anywhere on web and mobile, and allow you to do things like create calendar events or see relevant information from your contacts. So companies like Asana, QuickBooks, and Trello have added add-ons that allow you to extend the Gmail user interface. The card structure looks like this, where you have a card header, multiple sections, and you can have key value widgets. So for example, ProsperWorks has created an add-on so you can see relevant contact information based off of the to field of your email. QuickBooks has created an add-on that allows you to create invoices directly from your email. So let's say you have an email from Uber saying you took a ride this morning. Well, rather than having to go to QuickBooks.com and logging in and all, you could just use your mobile app and just add the new invoice right then and there. Some other example add-ons we have. These are on GitHub. One is a GitHub reader. So I don't know about you, but I get these emails from GitHub saying, hey, someone filed a new issue on your repo. Someone created a pull request. And the email has a static snapshot of that pull request or issue. Well, why can't it be dynamic? Why can't we see, like, maybe the creator already closed the issue, or maybe it's gotten a ton of upvotes? Well, we can't see that just from the email. So we have a Gmail API that GitHub add-on that does just that. It states if the add-on, the issue is open or not, when it was created, when it was last updated, things like that. You can't get from a static snapshot. Another example we have is a meeting assistant. So let's say you have you're meeting with someone in Zurich, someone in Seattle, someone in New York. Well, it would be great if you could just create an email, create a meeting directly from your email with all the people in the to field of that email. So we have one that allows you to set the duration. So the start time and end time, it uses the Google Calendar API to fetch the available spots that works with all the participants. And it can find times, suggest times, and even create the calendar event right then and there. These are available on GitHub. Right. I'll share the link, slides later. Trello demo. So let's say you're in Gmail. You can see this Get Add-ons button. But let's say I wanted this Bitcoin price, I wanted to add a to-do of maybe today's Bitcoin price to Trello. So we're not logging into Trello. We just press the Trello button, the add-on. And we can see here, I think if we refresh, we create a new item called the Trello task. And this was created a few seconds ago. And it really quickly adds information to our Trello task board. Cool. So Trello is a way to manage your to-dos. In this section, I want to talk about how you don't have to just integrate it with G Suite. You can also integrate with other third-party APIs. So Filippo here sort of describes AppScript as it can be server-side cron jobs, where you can even use some TypeScript to manage your email inbox, for example. Here we have an example of that I want to write, which is automating your weekly snippets. For example, I send an email to my manager of what have I worked on GitHub this week, or what emails I've sent, or what meetings I've had. Well, since AppScript handles OAuth automatically, it would be really easy to just do that via AppScript. If you want to integrate with all these other different services within Google, it comes really for free with AppScript. You don't have to manage any OAuth. So let's say you want to use the YouTube API, or you want to use the Drive API, or BigQuery, or do some Google Analytics. You can all do that with AppScript. Next, I want to show a YouTube API demo. So the YouTube API is really powerful. It allows you to query YouTube videos and do analytics. So I want to show an example of getting the top 10 videos of the query Vancouver. Cool. I have a little script here. Let me first run it, make sure it works. I'm just running a function called create slides. So this, in the background, it's spinning up an isolated environment and where it's querying the YouTube API and querying a specific search result, getting all the 10 results from the specified query, which is Vancouver, BC. Here we can see just in view logs, we can see a new document appeared. Let's see if it works. Cool. Here's a new slide document with the top 10 videos of Vancouver right within the slide deck. So like this would be a really interesting way to, maybe you have 100 cities and you want to get all the top videos for those 100 cities. Well, you can do that programmatically. It would be pretty infeasible to just copy and paste and look up these videos manually. But with the power of AppScript, you can do some, I guess, preliminary market research just using AppScript. Let me show you how it works now. It's not that many lines of code. So we have two functions. The first one is called get YouTube videos JSON, which accepts query. We typed Vancouver above. So here we use the special service called YouTube, and we do a search and get a list. Specifically, we ask for the fields ID and snippet, and we specify the query that we passed up here, and we just want 10 results. Then for all of our YouTube results, we'll go do a for loop, and we'll just create the URL, create the title, and then the thumbnail, which is just the high resolution URL. Then here's really the meat of the code. Here is create slides, which I immediately invoked. It first gets the YouTube videos JSON from above. Then here we just call slides app.create the presentation title. So that was the first slide of the slide deck. And then we're going to just set the text presentation title. Then here we'll just do a for loop through all the videos. As long as it's not undefined, we'll append a new slide and insert the video at 0, 0, the width and height. And then we're going to logger.log the presentation URL, which is just saw in view logs. Cool. So that's the code. And let's say you're not a developer, but you just want to use these add-ons. Well, we have a whole G Suite marketplace where you can get started and you can learn what other developers have built already. So you can see Asana, Zoho, some other companies have already built add-ons that allows you to extend everything from your Gmail to Google Sheets. It's available at gsuite.google.com/marketplace. Cool. And let's say you don't like using the online GUI, but you want to use the terminal. Well, there's this online open source tool called Clasp. I'm actually the developer of this tool. It allows you to manage your AppScript projects locally. It stands for Command Line AppScript Tools, AppScript projects. And it allows you to develop your code locally. So let's say you want to use Visual Studio Code or use your terminal. You can do that. You can manage your deployments of your various add-ons. You can structure your code. You can do all these different functions of creating new projects, pushing and pulling, just like Git, managing versions, et cetera. It looks like this. So you'll create a new script, and you'll let it load for a little bit. And then once it's doing that, just ls and echo functions, and just push the files to the AppScript server, and even deploy them right then and there. So it was released earlier this year, and it allows you to view your Stackdriver logs, list projects. It's written in TypeScript, and even there's support if you like writing TypeScript. You can write TypeScript for AppScript. Some ISV customers like it. This one stated at Google Cloud Next said Clasp was going to facilitate combining code from multiple repositories where libraries haven't been a workable solution, as well as use our personal preference IDs. And Tim Johns also wrote some nice things too. It's available. Just go to github.com/google/clasp. And you can see how to use the tool. Open source developers have really helped build the tool, which is really awesome. How are we doing on time? 4 minutes? Cool. Let's say you want to, you're a huge TypeScript fan. I guess querying the room, does anybody use TypeScript? Yeah? Yeah, a couple of people in the back? Sweet. Well, TypeScript is really awesome. It's really not that heavyweight too. It's a lightweight way to write typed JavaScript. And so here we're getting autocompletion. For example, format date specifies a specific format. And we'll get autocompletion like URL fetch app, like I forgot the app maybe. And here we're actually coding the Bitcoin demo we saw earlier, but now in TypeScript. You can see there's like little underscore squiggly lines. That's because I, on purpose, added a comma there, just to show, we can just catch these things. We're also getting autocompletion. I think you get the idea. It's really allowing for professional workflows. So TypeScript allows for optional static typing. You can use ES6 and ES7 features. Like promises and synchronous calling. Also, thank you. Sorry for the brief, short ending. If you have any questions about AppScript or about G Suite in general, please, I'll be around all day. I just flew in this morning from San Francisco, and I'll actually be around for a couple of days. If you have any questions, feel free to pick on my brain if you have any app ideas or anything. Thank you so much.